welcome back to the VET S.O.S podcast here on the Scoop. Remember, you do not have to drown in the sea of transition. You grab that VET S.O.S Lifeline. We are here to help. And to continue on the military effect campaign, it's our turn to serve. We have another dynamic. Wait till y'all hear his story and what his organization is bringing to the table to help veterans, people that's about to transition in life and anything. But their main focus is to make sure that we're able to keep pushing forward in life. Ladies and gentlemen, children of all ages, veterans of all alike, from far and near, meet Rich Possert. He is the program manager for Operation New Uniform, where he leads transformational efforts to empower veterans and military spouses in their journey from service to success. A U.S. Navy veteran, Rich brings a wealth of knowledge, leadership, and empathy and innovation to his role, guiding transition service members through career They're going to reinvent themselves coming through his program. Known for his dynamic presence, Rich is committed to reshaping narratives around veterans' potential, championing a future where every veteran is equipped, confident, and capable of redefining success on their terms. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome my man, my brother from another, Rich. How we doing today, boss? Greetings.
What's going on, brother? How are you? Good to be here.
What is going on? And like I said, I love to share, my story and journey with people I'm just now meeting out, just to show, like, this is my why. This is why I'm doing it. This is why I want to be part of the solution and do my part. And you're doing your part right now and continue doing your part. So before I even start, I got the scoop on you because you sent it over. I looked at it. It's amazing. You right now in the Florida region, in the Duval area, y'all going to the playoffs. That's good. I'm sure it's a good time out there. But Rich, I know a little bit about you. What's the scoop? What's the scoop on Rich? The audience would like to know.
Oh, man. Well, the scoop is this, to be honest with you. So after 23 years of serving, I got right into real estate when I got out, and was good at it because the military does a lot of things for you. It teaches you a lot of discipline, teaches you a lot of work ethic. There's so many good values that it brings to you, right? And those played very well. And I found out after a successful award-winning career in real estate that it just really wasn't my passion. I was good at it, but it wasn't my passion. My passion has been serving my fellow veterans. And as soon as I got out of the military, I retired in 2017. I got right into the veteran service ecosystem. Started out with the Veterans of Foreign Wars at the post level. I was just going to go in there and cook spaghetti dinners for folks. I was going to be happy with that, but just taking the reins, doing things there. They decided to elect me as post commander, which led to me going into our local county Veterans Council here in Duval County. Again, I just wanted to be a contributor, and they nominated and elected me as their chairman, which really started to put into high gear my, journey through the veteran service ecosystem. And that's how I found ONU. Going to the graduations, I was invited due to my position within the veteran community to go to Operation Uniform's graduations. And I would go there. I would hear the stories of these folks that were graduating. And every time it hit home. And, eventually it got to the point where I was like, I need to know more. I need to just go to this class myself. So I did. I enrolled and I went through the class last October of 2024. Game changer for me. When I decided to make the move from being realistic to, getting into the corporate world, if you will, going from 1099 style to W-2 style. I mean, I fired off, 50, 60 resumes, online applications, and a lot of crickets, a lot of nothing. I think I might have got one or two emails that said, hey, thanks for applying, but we've decided to go with someone else. And, here I am thinking, man, I've done all these things. I've accomplished all these things. Why don't they want me? And I'm telling you right now, just through instructing and being the program manager for our in-person classes with Operation Uniform, I see so many other folks like us that have that same exact mindset. So I post ONU, post going through that class, I really started to turn my networking, drove it into high gear, and went to just about anything that I could. Next thing I know, I have, you know, instead of sending off online applications, I had three, invites to come and uh, do an interview. Got them interviews, got, three job offers. So I went from being like 0 for 50 to being 3 for 3. So that told me right there, hey, okay, maybe they're onto something. And one of those offers happened to be with Operation Uniform. So I started out as the outreach coordinator with them. So doing a lot of outreach, kind of like I'm doing now at career fairs, TAP classes, so on and so forth. And here we are a little more than a year later, being there. And I'm now the program manager and one of the instructors for Operation Uniform.
Wow. And, I was doing some research and I see that it was established in 2014, right? So we're a little over a decade, running strong. So I know when you came on, like, how was your transition? Because you say you transitioned in 2017. Like, now that you're on this side of in the leadership world, helping on it, but in your transition, how did that affect to today to where you're actually say, you know what, I want to be part of the process to help out. How was your transition?
Yeah, and coming up on my transition, it's intimidating, and I can speak for myself, and I can probably speak for a lot of our brothers and sisters. Where when you're getting ready to take off that uniform, there is a piece of you that feels like you're losing value. Like that's my identity, right? Or I'm saying that uniform is my identity when, in a sense, that's another role that I've played throughout my life, but it's becomes an identity, and when you strip that identity away, we tend to lose our values. So there's a little bit of intimidation. There's fear of the unknown. There's false assumptions, and what I like to say, people falling into a comfort zone where they feel comfortable behind the screen of a computer and they self isolate. And I really had to police myself on that, and I just assumed I'm going to get all these job offers from all these folks all over the place, and it was not as much as you would think. And that
Right.
was part of, wanting to get into real estate was just, okay, I want to be my own boss. I am not going to have to listen to somebody else, tell me something like I have the last 23 years. But yeah, again, it's intimidating time, and we all go through it. And some of us, I don't care if you're a first term E4, did one
Mm,
enlistment and got out, or you're a 35-year, O6 who's led multiple squadrons or ships. We
right.
are all fighting very similar challenges, and my story is replayed tens of thousands
Oh,
of times every year.
wow. And one of the I guess like the sayings there is mindset. Like, why is mindset the foundation of Operation New Uniform programs? Like, because we talked about that earlier before we hit the record button, right? Like, you have to be in the
Yeah.
right mindset. Why is that like one of your pivotal key points when individuals start to come through the program to transition out to be prepared?
Great question. And one thing I'll say, you heard me talk about that, taking off the uniform and feeling like you've stolen my identity. Well, the thing is this: is we're children of God. God
Yes.
created us in His image, and that is perfection. That's a perfect 10. No matter what roles you played, no matter what things have happened to you, what things you've done, what things you've seen, mistakes you've made, it's irrelevant. You are still that perfect 10. Okay. And
Right.
we need to have that mindset when we're going into that next career. Notice I didn't say
Mm,
job.
right.
Another piece of it too is, we tend to drive toward comfort, right? So, you know, comfort for us when we're in the service is, being with our battle buddies, being with my squadron mates, being with my shipmates, you know, and when you transition, all of a sudden that goes away.
mm,
All of a sudden that goes away. So comfort becomes self isolation. And we see that a lot. And a lot of folks will
right,
self isolate and get in that comfort zone where they're firing off resumes,
mm,
behind the keyboard, but they're not doing anything with networking. They're not talking to people. They're not being involved in the community like they were when they were in the
mm.
service in their own community. So we start with that before anything else about their self value, their self worth. And then really having the right mindset to start attacking things and learning to be comfortable being uncomfortable.
Right. And the key thing that we shared earlier, like I said, we had a great conversation before the record, but it's talk about rediscovering yourself, your confidence.
Mhm,
Like I
mhm,
said, like I didn't know who I was. Like I was trying to figure out who is Kinks. Like what are
mhm,
you gonna bring to the table? Because like when I was going to my interviews and stuff, in my mind, all I heard was, "Oh, cool story, bro." Like, "Oh, you did that in the military? Okay, that's nice." But here on the corporate side or here on this,
mhm,
with so I like you said, like how do you rediscover or redefine or bring that confidence back? Because we're in the military, we have a lot of confidence, right? We get, hey, you do a mission, you do a job, you get promoted, you get
mhm.
awarded, you get quarterly awards, annual
Yeah.
awards, monthly awards, recognition, and now you're like, oh man, I'm starting off at square one again. Cause we talked about it, right? We have people, high ranking people come out and they think, well, I was doing this in the service. I should be doing this outside of service. And sometimes it doesn't align. So how do that confidence and that rediscover like through, Operation New Uniform helps out?
Mhm. Well, and in a sense, it comes down to, I mean, we just talked about it, confidence. Confidence comes from knowing that, you do bring these skill sets, but really there's a translation piece too, and knowing how to talk to people. We get as part of the military, we're set, it's ingrained into our skulls to talk about the us, the we, the team.
Yes.
People that are looking to hire you want to know about you. They want to know what you brought to the team. They want to know what you did. And so that's another thing that we talk about is learning how to talk comfortably about, how you've solved problems and pains in certain industries. And you know what? There's also a freedom of, let's say that I worked with weapons or,
Mhm.
I was a gunner or, I was a rifleman or something like that. And people are like, oh, that doesn't translate. And you know what? You managed people, you managed
Right.
programs, you managed so much. And there's a freedom in knowing that when hang up that uniform, you don't have the UCMJ and all these folks and
Right.
detailers and everybody's saying, well, you have to do this. Well, now you get to choose. Now
Right.
I get to choose, okay, you know what? I don't want to manage people ever again.
Right.
I want to be a worker bee. I've seen folks that were very senior enlisted or very senior officers that decided, you know what? I'm going to go be an Amazon driver. And that's, you know what? That's awesome.
Mm.
But I've also seen folks were, mid grade and stuff like that, that really enjoyed managing people. And that's what they got into. And, it's again, confidence in your self value, your self worth, but then also confidence with being able to tell, potential employers what problems you've been able to solve, what pains you've been able to solve in the industry that you're getting into.
Right, and that's huge because, like I shared with you, I couldn't continue on my career path as I was in the military. So somebody told me like, "Hey, look into cybersecurity." It's like the same thing, but it's on the internet, right?
Hmm.
Like you policing the internet. So I'm like, wow,
Yep.
I haven't thought about that. So I know definitely like going through your cohort, going through your program, to build that confidence, right? Because you have
Hmm.
all every career field. Cause we talked about that, right? You have, E5 sitting next to a O3, and is different career fields. Like, well, I don't know what skills I'm going to bring to this industry, or I want to be in this. I didn't have no experience, but like you said, you have the experience. You just have to learn how to translate it. We're going to show you how. We're going to teach you how. We're going to show you how to build that confidence. So you could bring your skill set that you already have inside of you.
That's right. That's right. And it's a beautiful thing. And some people, they get it real quick. Some folks, we tell folks when you come in through our doors is,
Um,
you're not just gonna go through our class, get a grad certificate and sayonara, grip and grin and roll out. No, we're gonna be with you for life. So, and you know what? There's some people that they come through our course, they get into a trade or they get into a career and they decide it's not for them. And maybe 2, 3 years down the road, they reach back out to us and say, hey, that wasn't it. I'm looking actually to transition into this. Well, guess what? We'll hit the reset button and sit and talk with them, help them, work things out to figure out what that next step is. We have a large network of potential employers that we interact with. We're nationwide. Yes, we have
uh,
in-person classes, 4 of them in Jacksonville, 2 of them in Tampa. So yeah, we are heavy in Florida. But we are going to be expanding in 2027 to San Antonio, Texas.
yes.
So I know our joint base over there is going to enjoy that. And we have an online cohort, our online programs team, a program manager, Brianna, and Olivia, the programs coordinator for the online team, and they also do spouses. So we're nationwide and worldwide. We've now had for our online folks, we are now in I think 33 states, if I'm not mistaken,
Wow.
and a couple of different countries because of course folks are stationed overseas. So, multiple opportunities to come through our class.
And you talk about coming through your class. So you shared with me, y'all have over 700, pushing close to 800 alumni.
Mhm.
That is huge. So what's your take on service after service as a leadership philosophy? Because that's what you're doing right now. You serving after service, right? This is that next stage,
Mhm.
that
Well,
next
you
notch,
think of it like this: is almost every single one of us joined the military because we wanted to serve something bigger than ourselves,
right?
right? We wanted to serve something that was bigger than our hometown. Some of us were from little podunk towns, right? But some of us were from large cities, but nonetheless, we wanted to serve something bigger than ourselves.
Right.
That commitment to service, whether you committed for 4 years or 34 years, you had a commitment. You made a commitment. You realize that you have something in you inside of your soul that is a call to service. And there's a lot of us, if you look at a lot of us in the veteran service ecosystem, and all of them, I mean, not just talking about like, folks like us that help with career transition and employment, but, the folks that deal with mental health, veteran service officers. If you look at
Right.
the veteran service officers throughout the world, I'd say probably 90% of those are prior service,
Yes.
and they have the experience and they have the experience with, helping our brothers and sisters out with the disability ratings. That's not a very high paying job,
Right.
but they do it. They do it because they want to serve something bigger than themselves. They want to serve their brothers and sisters. And that's why we do what we do. And I know you know that as well as anybody. I feel like it's therapeutic for us too. It's something that can help us with, some of us with our own demons and some of us knowing that I'm going to make sure that my brother and my sister don't have to deal with the struggles that I had to deal with. So that's why I'm going to do this. And, nothing makes me happier than seeing, someone that comes through our cohort, one of our cohorts, and gets hired in a couple weeks afterward and is, making 100 and something thousand dollars.
Right.
It's like, my
Yeah.
babies. That's so
Right.
awesome. I love it.
Right.
It just gets me going. It gets my, my juices flowing. And, it's just like, I mean, being a senior NCO when I was in the Navy, when one of my sailors was promoted or was awarded something or, did something amazing, I mean, I was blessed to be able to go to a fellow who was, when I was a senior NCO on a ship here in Mayport, Florida, gentleman who was a junior officer at the time, an ensign, my division officer on a ship down here. I just went to his change of command. He just got done being the
Wow.
commanding officer of a ship, and I mean that says I'm getting a little long in the tooth, but it's also cool to just see
Right.
someone that you helped, work with when they were, a junior officer, helped them with learning the ropes, helped them with, different things, had some sort of impact, but to see them be at that level, it's super rewarding. Super rewarding. And that's not changed, especially now with Owen.
Right. And we talk about, you said super reward. So man's coming in, brand new officer. Now, he's taking command. So life has changed, right? Definitely since we transitioned out, right? So much more has evolved in the world.
Mhm.
And I was doing research with ONU is y'all literally changed with the time. So to give relevant information on what's needed now. And that's one good thing. I just want to say thank you for keep doing that, because what I've seen, especially in my space, is definitely and IT is what we know today, 30 days from now is gonna be something totally,
Yep.
totally different. It's gonna be like, man, you blink, like what just happened. So I just want
Mhm.
to say thank you for keeping owing you, like with the new and current up to date of how to transition into because a lot of times you people give you information on, I call it post COVID era, like, hey, this is what you need to do to, like, no,
Mhm.
like you said, hey, this time you have to get out there. Now you have part of the virtual element now to, if you're able to speak on camera, or sometimes your interview might be virtual, or it might be a
Absolutely.
hybrid, a virtual, and then they like what they hear. Now they want to see, right? So how do you go and how do you present yourself when you're walking into a building? How do you present
Mhm.
yourself at the meeting table? How do you present yourself, in your dress attire? So, if you could just share about that, because I know that's part of the curriculum as well,
Yep.
as like how to be successful no matter what environment you're in.
So there's certain things that are never going to change. Certain ways that, like I said, learning how to talk about yourself,
Mm,
getting over that. There's things like that that won't change. But yes, you're right. Technology is always changing. Companies are always changing, and we we have to make sure that not just the way that we deliver our curriculum. We adjusted our curriculum to we went from a 3-week model to a 2-week model,
mm,
to better support folks that are active duty transitioning out, to make sure that they get the time to be able to come through. But having that online capability,
mm,
providing with skills that we ourselves as trainers are constantly staying up to date with what companies are looking for, what how interviews are
mm,
going to be going, staying involved with HR teams, talent acquisition teams. As part of our curriculum, on our final day of class, we partner with a company called Human. They're
mm,
a large scale HR company that will do interviews and a variety of HR jobs for folks. Great company, great partner of ours, but they'll sit there and do a session on day 7 that involves curriculum based upon coaching, interview
oh,
coaching. And then they'll sit there and do mock interviews with our participants. And it's just an amazing thing to take the stuff that they learned while they were going through our class, and then to be able to flex that muscle right at the end of class, and then get direct feedback immediately on how they did.
mm,
It's phenomenal. And again, that just speaks. That's why our success rate is so well,
right,
because we don't just give it to you that one time and then boot you out. We flex that muscle, and we let you flex that muscle at the end of class. And then, like I said, we will re-engage with our folks time and time again. We check on our folks at least a couple times a year. Whether
nice,
or not they're in a position that's permanent, or something where we have had folks get into internships, and other folks go back to college to get their master's or to get a doctorate or something like that. We engage with them when they're ready, and we're with them for life. And once you're an alumni, all 700 plus people, they're
mm,
ONU alumni for life, and we'll treat
nice.
them like that too.
Right. Wow. So what keep I'm gonna ask you this because I know my answer, right? I share my but what keeps you motivated to say, you know what, I need to make it better. I need to be there because you alluded to it earlier. It's like, oh yeah, I see them out there. Oh, that's my baby. That like they came through the
Mhm.
program. They out there doing great things. That's if they're successful, feel like I'm successful, right? Because I was part of that process of them coming out of their shell, right? Because
Mhm.
like you said, we're in a small community,
Yeah.
going transition back into that. to that ocean, that's what here in the VET S.O.S podcast, don't
Mhm.
drown in the sea of transition. Cause that thing is so vast and big. So what gives you that personal motivation? Like, man, hey, I'm glad I'm here owing you, and I'm glad that people are seeking us out and have this opportunity to contribute to
Yeah.
others.
Well, again, I think it's that call to service, knowing that I'm able to serve my
Mm,
fellow humans, and especially our brothers and sisters that are wearing or wore the uniform, or our family members. Because we have a spouse class.
mm,
My beautiful wife went through our spouse class, and is just crushing it right now in real estate, and just kind of seeing their success is a driving force in making us want to continue on and to get better, and really self-improvement. If you
mm,
think about it, think about the military. You're going through the pay grades. Most of us, even if you're an E4, you made it through a couple pay grades, so you made yourself better. You took lessons that you learned from people that were leaders of yours, and they taught you ways to get better, but you also had a drive in you to constantly get better, and expand and reach new heights. Well, that doesn't
mm,
change, right? And I think that that's still something that sits in here. It's like there's not just a call to serve, but there's a drive to make myself better, to help my family, get better, and really to do the same for all the folks that come
mm,
through our program. Because the more people that we are sending out there that are, taking these positions, these careers out in town and just running with them and seeing the successes. And it's not just the salaries, it's their impact to their communities, around the country. That is just magical too. I
mm,
know that our military brothers and sisters are special. They are the 1%. They are bringing something that most people will never be able to, and now they're able to do it
right.
once they get the confidence after going through our class to be able to go in and be successful and make an impact at those companies, or in their
That's huge.
communities. That's just, man, it just keeps the fire burning hot.
So, something I was looking at the website, I was going through, I was like, man, I know Rich has some awesome quotes out there. Some when you went out there, go speak in front of people. So one of the things I'm gonna kind of do a rapid fire, a rapid fire sitting on the stoop, getting the scoop. One of the things that I came across, transition isn't the end of your mission, it's your mission reimagined.
Mhm.
What's the scoop on that? What you think about that? Let's have a conversation on that quote right there.
So I'm going to hit you up with something that I love. This is one of my little things here. Is, and you can quote me on this. Is that immortality in the flesh is impossible? It's not how God made
Mm,
us. Immortality through impact is 100% real. Just
wow.
think about that. The impact that you leave on one person becomes an impact on 5, 10,
Many,
100 people.
right?
You have an impact on 100 people. You just impacted how many thousands?
Right.
Then they're going to impact you. Immortality through impact is so real. And if we can just change one life at a time, provide that impact that they're in turn going to impact somebody else, there's immortality. And it's just, I mean, that's like a spiritual thing, for me. It's like, how many lives can I impact through what I do while I'm here on this earth?
Right.
And I think I can think of no better, way to encapsulate that question than put that out there into the universe.
Nah. Another thing that was said at ONU, we don't help you find a job. We help you build a legacy. I'm gonna keep.
Oh, hey,
I
I
got
love
him for
that.
days. Yeah, I
Yep.
got him for days. So, what's the background on that? What's the scoop on that right there?
So first off, it's almost like a cuss word. You don't cuss in church, right? Well, you
Right,
don't say job at ONU, the job.
right,
It's career. All
right.
right. And a job is something that is temporary. You think of all the
Mm,
buzzwords around what a job is. It's temporary, might not pay very well. It's a not a means to an end. It's there. A
right,
career is something that is lifelong or long term, much better pay. And that's really what we're training people. We're giving people this training to get them into careers,
Mm,
not into jobs.
right.
Okay. And that's the easy answer for that one. We are preparing folks to get into careers to have a long-term impact where they're going, whether it's in the industry or whether it's with that company.
And that's where they're building confidence. So confidence is the bridge between who you were and who you're becoming.
Hmm. Hmm. Confidence is something that, mm, I used to tell my folks when they were, brand new to the ships, they come in
Mm,
and they were nervous about doing certain things. And I would tell them, I say, like, confidence comes from experience, right? And so many folks are so nervous when we make that transition about, oh, how's my experience going to translate to these college kids that I'm competing with?
mm,
Now, you know what? You're competing with them, but you have such a leg up on them as well. And
right.
you need to remember that and that confidence in knowing that, yes, you both have the same degree, but the stuff that you've done, the problems you've solved already,
Right.
you are such more of a valuable asset. That's the confidence that you need to carry with you when you're going to those networking events, when you're going to that interview, that, you're one of 50, and that confidence that comes out when you know how to talk about yourself in that interview. That's how you're going to get into that
Right.
position over them other 49 people.
And when you were saying, I was remembering my when I first was going through basic training and then got told, I was going into security forces, law enforcement, and then like, hey, you have to learn how to uh rifle. You have to zero your rifle. Rifle. I never held a rifle, but don't worry, we'll train you. We'll train you how
Hmm.
to check ID. We'll train you all this stuff. And one of the things that's said at ONU is we train warriors to fight. Now we're gonna train you to thrive, right? So you show that you could be trained, right? Because you made it through basic training, you made it through your
Hmm.
AIT, you made it through your tech school, you made it through your first duty station. You're successful. You are out on the other side. So if you learn how to do that, we're gonna teach you how to do this.
Hmm. And you know
That's
what's
awesome.
great is it's something where, like, it's something that they have inside of them. Every
Right.
one of them. Every one of the folks that comes through our program has it inside of them. It's just showing them how to get it out, how to use what's inside already, and I don't want to say we're not reinventing people.
Hmm.
We're teaching, it's almost like a translation. It's
Right.
learning how to speak the right way. It's learning
Right.
how to market yourself the right way because you are marketable. You are so marketable.
Mm,
Yeah, and I mean, you bring so much more than other people that haven't been in your shoes. So
right.
much more.
One of the things that was also mentioned, the uniform may come off, but the mission driven spirit never
Mm,
fades. And you just said it right there. Like it never
yep.
like because you're bringing yourself. Something told you to go and sign up at the MEP. Something told you to go
Hmm.
see the recruiter. Something told you what branch of service to go to.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's not gonna
What's
fade. It's
now?
there.
What's different now? What's different? The only thing that's different now is your mindset because you've
Mm,
been trained. You've been trained a certain way. And I don't care if you did 4 years or 34 years, that training. And I actually think it's kind of worse with the folks that are quote unquote lifers, folks that
mm.
have done 20 or more years, because, I like to reference the Shawshank Redemption. You know,
Right.
we're institutionalized. We've
Right.
been told this and we've acted this way for so long that, you'd take us out of that element and we're like,
Right. A fish
right?
out of water,
There's
right?
a,
Yeah.
yeah. So, but the things never change. You still, just because you're not wearing that uniform, you don't have that ribbon rack on you, it doesn't mean that you don't have the skill sets and the ability to act under fire. I mean, people are never going to have to deal with some of the things you had to deal with and still achieve excellence, right? You're able to achieve
Right.
excellence despite all the different things that you've been faced with when you've achieved excellence. So let's talk about that.
Wow. That's huge. That's huge. And when it says from boots to business, every step counts. And I want to say, Rich, that right there is to me, that speaks to the imposter syndrome, right? Like I'm speaking to myself right now, like that is heavy on the imposter syndrome. Like, man, like, okay, I've done this for 4 years, 6 years, 8 years, 20 years. Don't discount it. 'Cause remember, I said that, right? Like, man, when you do that transition, don't worry. People might discount it, but it still counts. It counts because somebody is going to see the value in you and somebody is going to take a chance on you. So you have to take
100%.
a chance on yourself. And that's what part of
100%.
on you is all about, right? Like they're showing you how to take a chance on yourself. You, who are you? What do you bring to? Because Rich said it earlier, like you is good to talk about the us and we, but they want to hear about the you,
Mhm.
me,
Well,
I.
once you're hired, go ahead and talk about the us and the we again. You be in that team environment, but when it's time
Mm,
to get you into that position, now it's time to talk about the you. That's about to talk about the I and the me and what I bring to the table, right? You mentioned that false steps. Let's talk a little bit more mindset here. So
mm,
something I like to reference, and we even talk about this in our curriculum. And you've heard of Sun Tzu, the Art of
yes.
War, great
Art of war.
philosopher.
Yes.
So there's something that he would do with his troops, folks under his command, and we call it on death ground, and it's a
Mm,
mindset. If he would take his troops and align them to where they were backed up against a wall, he found that they would fight with the strength of hundreds of men to the man. And it's a mindset. And if we have the right mindset, if we have that, you know, on death ground is what he called it. We have that mindset of this is the most important thing. And I'm fighting with my back against, my back is backed up against a wall. I'm going to do nothing but take the right steps and I'm going to step, impactfully. I'm going to be intentional with what I do. I'm going to set goals. I'm going to charge my all out, just like I did when I wore that uniform. Not going to take false steps. And if I do, I'm going to learn from my mistakes, right? That's part of that mindset piece that we all need to have, and we had that. We had that when we wore the uniform. So let's keep that mindset. Let's keep that, on death ground mindset when we're going into that next career.
And speaking of the next prayer, how can they get in touch with you? How can they get in touch with ONU? Like, where's the website? Because this is part of the military effect campaign. It's our turn to serve. So it's going to be running all of 2026, right? So this is rich. Is over 50 plus people that you got to see come on the scoop and talk about organizations, talk about how they're able to help, how is their turn to serve. So
Mhm.
Rich, how can they get in contact with you? How can they reach out to OU? Like what happened if they want to, like, hey, how do I get into the next cohort? Like how can they apply? Is there application process, or like how can they get involved?
Absolutely. So we'll start off with folks that want to participate in the program. So like I said, we have 4 classes in Jacksonville a year. So in 2026, 4 classes. In Tampa, Florida, we have 2 classes in person. Okay. There are also 4 online classes, and there are 2 military and veteran spouse classes. Okay. Those are held online. Now, the easiest way to apply is to go to our website, www.onuvets, that's onuvets.org. And then you'll see a button on the screen that says apply. You'll click on apply. You will fill out a form, basic contact information, your military history, background, a couple questions. And once you hit, submit, you will actually get a follow-up email that comes automated from our system to where you'll set up, depending on if you're an in-person candidate or an online or spouse candidate. You will do a phone intake call with either myself or with our online and spouse program manager, Brianna. And we will talk with you. We will have an intake call where we decide that we're a good fit for one another. And if you are, we will put you into the course that makes the most sense for your timeline. And yeah, it's that easy. There's nothing complicated about it. I'll shout from the rooftops. Just come and experience it. I guarantee you that you'll agree with me as an alumni myself that it was worth it.
And it is worth it. And that's why I tell everybody, like, transition is not a one-time event.
No.
We're transitioning daily. We're transitioning monthly. We're transitioning yearly, hourly,
Mhm.
secondly. I don't even know if that's a word. Secondly, I just said it. we're always in the transition space, so you don't have to drown in the sea of transition. Reach
That's right.
out to Rich and his people. Reach out to Operation New Uniform. Just think about the name, Operation New Uniform. When you go to somewhere new, you have to get a new uniform, a new you. Operation New Uniform. You're taking off the old, you're putting on the new, your new
That's right.
transition, your new part of your life. So don't forget, you do not have to drown in the sea of transition. Grab that VET S.O.S Lifeline. Like, subscribe, and share, and send it to everybody. Everybody that you think that's in your virtual Rolodex, send it to them. Send them this so they know that opportunities are out there to connect. Opportunities are out there to be a part of this great organization, and opportunities are out there to be the one to let others know that we are here to help. So until next time,
So
everybody, take care. Peace.